Congratulations, you made it to the EXFIL. You can relax, empty your bags, and we hope you enjoy the show. Hey there, Mike, aka MTB Trigger here, and with me, as always, is my co-host Ronal, aka Eric. If you are brand new, this is an Escape from Tarkov podcast where we talk about all things EFT, and our goal is to get better at the game, and we will hope that you join us and do that as well. We've got an exciting episode for you today, and since I know that 99% of you do not read the title of the episode and just hit play, you're going to have to wait a minute until you find out. And don't cheat. Not now, don't do it, just wait. So we're going to get our hideout keeping stuff out of the way so we can dig in. And first, as always, the absolute best way you can support us is to share this podcast with a friend. Second to that, give us a review on your platform of choice, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, wherever. 5 stars, comments, all of that stuff means the world to us, and it really helps us out. And speaking of which, I went to check the reviews on iTunes because we were up over 100, and something happened, and I think I know what it was, but it's showing that we have 64 down from 100, but I think so many of you have gone in and commented on it that now iTunes is just tracking the 5-star reviews or any review that people have gone in and commented on. So it's crazy to me that not only are you guys going out and reviewing the cast, but you're also commenting and giving really awesome responses. So thank you so much for doing that. We also have the Patreon is alive and well and kicking. We now have 11 patrons, you guys, and it's been live for like a week. So thank you so much to those of you who have chosen and have the ability to support us financially directly. That's amazing. And again, that's not a requirement. There's nothing crazy that's with that. If you're just somebody who has the ability to share it and talk about it, and you tag us on Reddit, or maybe you told a streamer or a content creator about the podcast and we get to talk to them now, that's amazing. So thank you for supporting us in that way as well. 600 people in Discord, you guys. The community is amazing. Gamers helping gamers. We have seen so many people grouping up, amazing stories coming out of that. And the very last thing I have to talk about is make sure you head over to youtube.com/XP Media now. We're putting out some guide videos on there, and you can always catch the live version of the show over there. So if you're looking for me specifically, you can find me at MTB Trigger on Twitter and MTB Trigger on Twitch. And Mr. Ronal, how are you, sir? Let the fine folks know how you're doing and where they can find you as well, man.
What's up, everybody? I'm doing pretty good. Had a good long week of grinding tasks and donating gear on customs. I hope some of you found my stuff and threw it in a bush. That'd be very nice of you. Besides that, you can always get a hold of me in Discord. We're hanging out there all day long, interacting with all of you wonderful people, saying hi to all the new folks that are coming into Discord. So you can find me on Discord at Ronald. Just hit me with a DM, and that's the best way to get a hold of me. If you'd like to email the show with something specific, you can email the show at xpmedia2020@gmail.com. That covers everything that we do. We have people emailing us every day. We check that all the time for specific things. And one thing I'd like to say, especially to the Patreons, thank you. Thank you. Giving your real-life money to support us is an amazing thing that the community has kind of embraced us and that we're growing in this way. We just want to especially say thank you for that. So tonight on the show, we have a special guest, like Mike said. And for those of you who didn't peek at the title and didn't cheat, Mike, tell us about who we have on tonight.
I suppose it's for the people that aren't watching the video too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Right. But yeah, anyway, man, I'm proud to introduce, this is somebody that when I first started on Tarkov, I actually discovered his channel in one of his beginning intro videos for Tarkov. And so yeah, welcome, Geekseh. Welcome, man. Happy to have you. How are you, dude?
I'm great. I'd like you to go on a little more, though. It was
the greatest content creator of all time.
No, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Super happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was actually super last minute, and we actually made it work, which was super, super rad. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, thank you for taking time.
I don't think we can hold on to this, but the only other guest we have, and I think you know him, we had Dottie Hack on the show.
Oh, I love
and
Dottie.
It was like the same scenario, dude. It was like we met, we talked, and it was like, hey, you want to do this like tomorrow? And it was like, yep. And I'm like, there's no way this trend's ever going to happen again. And here we are, like 24 hours after we started talking. So that's amazing. It's awesome.
As content creators, we don't do much, so we have so much time on our hands. It's easy.
Right.
It's easy.
Yeah. You don't do anything.
Yeah. You just sit in your chair.
Camera.
You just sit in your chair and play video games all day, right? So.
My mom's basement. It's really nice down here.
For those of you that are catching this here, we basically got into Discord like 30 minutes ago, and it just kind of this is an easy man to talk to, and he's Canadian, and we know a lot of you are from way up north from us in Minnesota. But we've been consuming his content. We've watched his videos. I actually know we've linked some of the videos in the EXFIL Discord as well. What we normally do at the top of a show is we usually just kind of talk about how our week was in Tarkov, and I'll just give you a preview of my 2 things that happened this week, and maybe this will lead you guys on what you want to talk about. But I made the absolute biggest mistake that I have made in Tarkov so far, and this week I also had the biggest loot take in a single run in Tarkov so far. So that's my preview of what's going on. So Ronald, what'd you do this week, man? How was your week in Tarkov?
I spent another week leaving the safety of the hideout. It was kind of hard for the rat and me. It was a little rough, but I'm starting to grind tasks, so it's been fun. It went up 5 levels this week, so it was a good week of donating gear and getting stuff. What's really funny to me is that we've kind of come up last week. We talked about budget loads and budget gear, and kind of how you can use that to get through the task, get through kind of scavving as a PMC, so you just keep getting XP, that kind of stuff. And so this week, my insurance return was like constant. Therapist kept bringing me back my junk. And it's really funny to me too, because after a while, my gear fear is kind of gone because I really wish that there was a camera in Tarkov for the moment that the Chad comes up and finds my pile of crap. It's like, what? What? I wasted my ammo on this. So I cost that Chad like 10K worth of bullets, and all he got was a green armory helmet and a burqa or something. So anyways, it was a good week of grinding out tasks and kind of upgrading my hideout. I spent a lot of rubles this week. I'm now firmly along my way to getting to level 3 everywhere. Pretty excited. I should have my Bitcoin farm pretty soon. So yeah, it was a good week. Good week.
That was actually one of the funniest DMs I've ever gotten. Was middle of the day, random. I knew you were at work, which is the funniest part. And you were like, I've spent so much money on my hideout this week, and it's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah, for my coworkers that do enjoy the podcast, that was over lunch.
Oh, right. 2 p.m. lunch. Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Geek? How's your week, man?
You know, it kind of really did hit a soft point in me where the Chad comes after the little guy, and I waste. I'm not a Chad, I wouldn't say. I'd say I'm more of a beaver. I always tell people I'm a beaver. I'm a little bit in between, but you know, you waste so much ammo, especially on hatchlings nowadays. Hatchlings are everywhere right now, especially because I play Shoreline a lot. I love playing Resort. I just love Resort PvP when you get into good PvP there. But I find myself like wasting, like, I don't use like 995 or anything like that. If I have it because I killed someone, I'll use it. But you know, I'd use 855. If I use 545, I'm using something like BT ammo, but my first 60 rounder is probably BS. But you know, there has been that Veritas video that's been going around, and what happens in the Tarkov community is one big video goes out and then everyone talks about it, right? So
the ammo comparison,
yeah,
right?
Ammo comparison.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of compiling some data and more like some clips of me using SP5 and 20 rounders with the AS Val. I want to see how good I can do with just this gun, and it having a PK06 on it. That's it. And it's it's doing work. I have to tell you, it's doing work.
So have you ever mixed ammo types in a clip?
I have never done that. I've seen, like, when I call those people psychopaths, because I'm like, you spent so much time doing this. Like when you're unloading someone's magazine to see, and it's like one bullet, there's like 40, like 50 rounds in here. What's going on? And then it's like unload. And it's just, I'm like, you definitely want to wear my skin as a hat, don't you? I know you do, you know?
Yeah.
I look at that and I say, like, I have enough reasons that I die in this game that I don't need to create another excuse, right? Like if like I've seen people that do the, like, they mix the War Mage and the M995 so that they mix those high flesh damage rounds in there for the for the M4s. And I'm like, man, I just don't want to be thinking in my mind, like, man, if that was an M995 bullet, he would have died. Like, I don't think I could do it. I've seen it. It's been talked about a lot. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think I would talk myself out of it really quick.
I think the big thing for me is that I don't want to spend a lot of time in my hide. Like, I want to go play the game, right? So mixing that ammo would take you another, like, what, 15 minutes? I remember a time before presets where when you lost a gun, you'd be like, oh my God, I have to go buy everything. And, you know, it was a huge ordeal. So at the beginning of the stream, I'd build like 4 or 5 guns for the stream just so I didn't have to do that whole thing over again, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't mix ammo in a clip. I'm just wondering because it seems like there's a level, like you say, there's a level of competitiveness where I'm sure people do that, but it just gets a little crazy to me.
If that's what they in their head makes them better, though, if that's like your placebo effect, all power to you. Like, if you have time and you want to do it, give her.
Well, and I think they do it to troll, right? Because, like, partially I think it's to troll, because if you kill someone and you pull like a 60 rounder off an M4 and you hit unload ammo and it gets 2 M995s out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to right click unload this thing like 20 times to get all the ammo out. And so, I don't know, maybe it's not a troll, but it cracks me up every time it happens, because I'm like, really, I don't want to right click this thing forever to get these like M855A1s out.
So I was just gonna say, like, but with the SP5, like I was saying, it's doing work. Like, I killed some sweaty sweatlords today with 20 rounders with SP5, and it's so funny because there's not even like an in between for SP5, SP6, right? So if you guys don't know, SP5 and SP6 is for Val VSS, really good ammo. But the thing is, the SP5, there's no limit on how much you can buy, so you can buy unlimited amounts. It's $160 rubles a round, where SP6, you can buy like 200 every 3.5 hours, and it's 620 rubles. And it's like, there's not even like an SP 5.5, you know what I mean? Like an in-between that's like 350, you know? So I'm like, okay, I want to figure this out, because I hate using like 10 bullets to just kill a hatchling that's running and then be like, oh, that hatchling cost me, you know, so much money. And to be honest, I'll put out a YouTube video on it very shortly, but I think Veritas was definitely right that the difference between SP5 and SP6 is so minute that it really doesn't make too much of a difference.
Yeah, I got to say one more thing about this week about how just using like junk gear to get quests done. So I was running MPXs and MP7s all week long, and I got them all back in insurance, and I just laughed. Every time I'd open my insurance thing, I just got everything back. And
MP7 you got back?
I got MP7. Yeah, MP7 I got back.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And because I had 2 MP7s, and I actually told Trigger early in the week, I'm like, crap. I lost, because I had a nice build that I liked, but I got them all back. I got everything back in insurance. So whoever killed me, you know, was definitely using better stuff. But it just is interesting how using insurance with gear that's very common, or that people who have likely killed you don't want, you know, the odds of getting it back are so high. And so, you know, that's one thing we can get into at some point. But it was just really funny, because I just imagine like that person, like, you know, they sniped me from across on Shoreline. I played a lot of Shoreline and a lot of customs, and they get there and like, oh, what's this guy got? It's just all junk. And they're like, what?
Well, it's super common though. And I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up too, related to this geek, because it was like there is that real sort of feeling of like, dude, I see this guy not wearing any gear, and I know what's in my mag right now, right? And you brought up SP5, SP6, and then there's BP, which is a whole nother animal. That's like 1,300 a round. And it's like, so if you're taking BP in and you shoot, if you click while you have an AS Val or a VSS on automatic, you probably lost a couple thousand rubles if you had it on automatic, because those things are bullet hoses. That's got to be a really awesome like mindset change when you know that you're rocking 20 rounders with SP5. And I mean, I watched a little bit of this morning, and you were melting people, man. And I was actually impressed, because I usually take in SP6, and honestly, I usually take in BP if I'm rocking a fully modded Val, because I love the Val, and I like having it in the best spot, or I like putting myself in the best potential chance to win. But I was sitting there watching you rock the SP5, and you were murdering people, man.
Well, I was doing a comparison to like what I prefer fully modded for the AS Val and what I was rocking at that time. And to be honest, there's not much of a difference. You'll use the Taz mount if you want to use some sort of grip on it. And to be honest, the grip you want to probably use is the shift grip, so your ergonomics goes up on the AS Val, because it's already a laser beam, right? You don't want to worry about recoil. You want to worry about the ergo on it. And if anything, what I would worry about is having just a laser on it. So do you guys know about the IR laser? Kind of
Yes.
glitch
I
thing?
explain it though, because I don't use it very often. I'm a fan of the blue laser, and I know that the IR laser was really popular a while ago, and I don't think it changed. But
No,
yeah,
it hasn't.
it.
I did some tests, and I just put out a video. Sorry for plugging my YouTube, but I did put out a video on it. Top 10 tips for beginners and veterans. So
Get there.
But one of the things are, if you guys use the SL, I think it's LS321 maybe, or I forget which one. It's the cheapest like laser you can get. It's kind of like a beige. But if you use like the regular red dot, you can see it, wherever you're going in a room, say you're in Shoreline and you're in resort, they're going to see you coming, right? They're like, oh, I spot so many people with lasers. I'm like, okay, he's over here. With an IR laser, it's an infrared laser. So it's meant to be for, night vision goggles. So you can see it in night vision. But the thing is, during daytime, you can't see it. So the laser actually gives you a bonus, and it makes your spread of bullets a lot tighter when you don't ADS. So if you're point firing, I know people hate it when you say hip firing for this game, but when you point fire, your spread of bullets is actually a lot tighter. So that's like the only big thing that I would put on the AS Val itself. So like even comparing my AS Val builds, there's not much difference to it. Like even without the grip, I'm rocking it without a grip, just a low SVD mount and a PKO6. And the only thing I would change is the 20 rounders to 30 rounders, but I'd still use SP5, because 20 rounders again are 6,000 compared to the 30 rounders, which are 30,000.
Yeah, so roughly, like, tell everyone, like, what does that cost for that setup?
The AS Val, like, let's ballpark. The AS Val is at let's say on a hot day it's 70,000, 14,000 for the PKO6, and then another 5,000 for the low SVD mount. So you're looking at about 90,000 for the gun itself. And then if you get 20 rounders with the ammo, and the best part about the ammo, dude, is I don't even care if I lose it. Like, I don't even, like, sometimes I have it in my Gamma or Kappa, but like sometimes it'll just come out of there, and I don't give a shit. Like, if I lose it, I lose it. It's only 160 rubles a round. So I'm not scared to use that ammo up where it's like, oh, I might, I might need to like conserve this. And it's like, no, I take so much ammo with me.
Right, Geek's not talking about how expensive the gun is, because for a fully auto and generally suppressed, like if you're buying it, it's suppressed out of the gate. It's a very inexpensive gun, because when he's saying like, I don't know, 70K for the gun, well, there's a lot of suppressors out there for AKs and M4s that are 40 to 70K just for the suppressor, let alone the things to attach them to the gun. So we just came off of talking about a ton of budget builds, and this is probably, in my opinion, one of the best budget things to talk about, because for a gun that can take out meta-geared, fort-wearing armored players, this gun can get it done. And what I'm hearing right now is like, I need to go try SP5 because it's 1/10 the cost of the ammo that I've been using in my VSSs and AS Vals. And if I can do anything similar to what you just talked about, that means I can take that thing in and I can probably buy like 3 or 4 VSSs or AS Vals for the amount of ammo that I was probably wasting on scavs or hatchet runners, that's budget. That's amazing.
Best budget gun. Like, I think you hit the nail on the head with that when you're talking about the AS Val. It's a great budget gun because I'm not scared to just spray down an enemy. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, precision, it's all about precision and whatnot, but sometimes you just got to spray some people down and just hope for the best. And with this gun, it's perfect. You know, right now, Tarkov does have an issue with global limits. So I'll be the first person to tell you it really does suck when you can only buy 12 30 round mags for the AS Val, and you know there's an hour left and they're already sold out, but you can only buy 12. It's like, why can't I buy my 12 and then it's out? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to have a global limit plus you have a limit on it. I don't get that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I look at as being the most interesting in this game is that I think there are some items that need limits, but there's so many that have them. And the traders are already dynamic in that they sort of set the floor on certain items, but there's some that it just seems so unnecessary on. And like the mags, and then there's maybe grenades. I don't know, maybe grenades does need a limit. I don't know. But that's one that's big. And then there's like some of the bag trades is kind of like, why not let the price of those continue to rise? Or if they're getting bought too fast, like, you know, I saw in the tri-zip, they moved it from 3 ES lamps to 4. But if it continues to get bought at crazy rates, why not just keep moving those trade volumes up so that the price kind of increases with the demand? I don't know. Those limits are really interesting to me. I'm not sure why, with the dynamic pricing on the traders, that they're still there on so many items.
I just don't know why there's global and there's personal limits. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you were talking about the tri-zip, you know, that was my bread and butter. When at the beginning of a wipe, I'll get easy lamps, sell them. I'll get like, you know, they're cheap. And then I'll just buy out all the easy lamps. And then I'll just go grab a whole bunch of tri-zips, throw them on the flea market. I make money. But when it comes to global and personal limits, I don't get why the both of them are there for something. Like, if I can only buy 4, you know, one thing was like the strike 6-inch guide, you know, so you need that for a lot of higher end guns. You need it for a lot of the barrels so you can attach a grip. If I can only buy 3 or 4 of them and there's an hour and a half left and they're all sold out, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I can only buy 3 or 4 and it's already sold out. Like, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Make it 1 or 2 then, and then just get rid of the global. Like, just put it down on the personal level and then get rid of global.
I actually accumulated everything I needed to buy or do a trade on a Thicc items case because I had found a couple Ledics, I had found a couple defibrillators. So I was like, okay, well, I can spend this minor amount of rubles to buy the rest of what I need versus just buying the items case. And I seriously was at therapist for like 7 resets in a row, including the 4 a.m. one. Yes, I set an alarm. I did it. And they sell out so quick that I honestly ended up selling the LEDXs and the defibrillators and just go and spent the extra money to buy the Thicc items case because those global limits are so low on some of the items that I understand controlling the flow into the game and into the economy, but why not make it a personal limit of you can buy 1 Thicc items case a week or something? Like, there's a way that, to your point, I think they could control that flow of items into the game through personal limits.
Yeah, it all depends upon how much the total amount that comes in. I mean, if the economy gets flooded, obviously it's going to decrease a lot of the value. I think what they're trying to do is keep the treadmill pretty long for some of those things because it just creates, you know, scarcity creates value. But I agree, it is a little bit weird. So like as I'm behind you guys in my progression. So as I've kind of unlocked more of the traders, and I'm starting to see a little bit more of this. And there are still some things that are kind of out of reach, but what really is happening is like some of the gun trades are never up for me. I can never, ever do any of the gun trades. So it's kind of like, what's the point? I want some of that stuff, but I can't get it.
I don't think there's as many bots buying stuff as people think, but there definitely is. You know what I mean? Like, they can't sell out instantly. Like, one of the big ones was, I think it's I call it the Tic Tac rig or the Tech Tech. That one for the golden gun. That used to sell out like within 10 minutes. You know, it would sell out for like, used to be like 2 golden guns, 1 golden. It was something really cheap. So it'd sell out ridiculously fast, but they are changing the flea market to 15.
Yep.
Which is something that I've heard a lot about, and it's a lot of negative. You know, it's a lot of negative. I get why they're doing it, and I think it also sucks though at the same time.
Yeah, let's shelf that for just a minute.
Okay.
And then because we can dig into all that stuff. Because we're like 30 minutes in and we haven't introduced you yet. So let me
hold on. I want one thing from you though. You said you learned something this week. You said you learned one thing, and I don't think you said it. So I want to know what it was.
I almost got out of it. The biggest mistake that I made this week was flying through my hideout too quickly, and I was needing to get my nutrition station building or creating sugar for me. So I right-clicked on chocolate. I hit filter by item. I was ready to buy the cheapest one available, and I was right there. I hit purchase. I hit Y, and I bought like 72 chocolates because my filters had been reset. So then I frantically went through my stash to figure out what the heck this person got from me. And I'm scrolling through and I'm clicking through bags and containers and guns, and I can't figure it out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So fast forward to like 2 hours later, I'm squatted up with J-Mac and Dadcaster, and we're somewhere and we're getting ready to EXFIL, and I'm right behind him. And one of them's like, hey, I need to AFK or something really quick. And I said, no, that's really stupid. And I hit V to pull out my melee weapon, and I didn't have a melee weapon. So this jerk, 5 hours in the past, got a Red Rebel for 72 chocolates, a.k.a. a 5 million ruble mistake that I now, I mean, just to talk about is driving me nuts because, you know, I'm hearing all these reports of the hackers in labs that are taking stuff out of people's bags, and the thing that everyone was talking about is they were taking Red Rebels. And, you know, I haven't seen any videos of that. I'm sure they're out there. But, like, my heart it just broke because I was like, I have the rubles to rebuy the Red Rebel, which I did. But when I realized it hours later, what I lost for 40 chocolates or whatever it was, like, I can create sugar forever now. That's great. But it was like, I'm serious, it was like a 5 million ruble mistake. So yeah, I learned a pretty good lesson this week.
I need you to know that you're not the only one. Like, I've heard this story, because right when you said I couldn't find out what I was like, I know it's your Red Rebel, and that sucks, because that's all everyone wants. And that's what's so about the trading system right now too, is sometimes I do a lot of giveaways and stuff, so I always sometimes take the filter off for trading. And it should, if you're not trading anything, always make sure that thing's on, because all the trades are always something like that. Like, someone I know lost their Red Rebel for 1D fuel. You know what I mean? All the trades are slip up mistakes. Someone else is going to, you know, it's always like, I'll give you 2 chocolate bars for this sick M4. You know what I mean? Like, I want the sick M4, or like, you know what I mean? It's always something stupid, like 3 nail, or not even nails, but you know what I mean? Like 1 bolt for an M4 or something. It's always something dumb. And it's always something that's like really fast. For some reason, like, you click it right away with the Y, and it just goes. I hate the trading. It's always greasy trades.
Well, and it's like, I mean, I'm just like, I don't care if I'm paying $15K for chocolate or $20K for chocolate, and it's usually in that range. So I'm just ready to buy it, and I'm ready to buy it twice, and I'm ready to buy having to hit,
how much?
purchase and
Sorry,
hit
but
Y.
how
like,
much was each of those chocolates? Like, did you do the math and figure out how much each of those chocolates cost you?
As you're sitting here talking about analytics before the show, I knew you'd. I'm gonna hold on. Just hold my calculator.
How many was it? 72.
I think it was.
So that was 70,000 per chocolate. Just say.
So if that was sugar, it would have been kind of decent because sugar's going for about like 55 to 70 usually. But, two of those makes only one sugar. So you lost about 2.5 mil, in the end. Like, it wasn't too bad. It could have been worse, buds.
It could have been worse.
Could have been a D fuel. It could have been one D fuel.
Yeah. Yep. Or a splint. Check.
Now, the interesting thing though is
I really need that.
So after that happened, after it happened, right? I had the biggest take that I've ever had though. So like Tarkov, it made it up to me. Like it came back. It's my friend. I'm in Resort, West Wing. I'm playing with Dadcaster, and he goes down, right? And he's like, I just got murdered from I think the tennis courts, right? And he was in like he was on the second story of the middle of West Wing. And I'm like, where were they? And he's like, they're out in the tennis courts. And he's like, they have to be thermaling or something. And he just gives me really good comms on where they're at. So I cross the hall. I look out. I spot two guys running around in that like little courtyard area on the north side of Resort on Shoreline. And I take out one, take out the second one. And I said, how many were there? He's like, it had to be 3. The angles were crazy. So I get this third guy, and then I clear everything else out. And I go loot them. And they had thermals, they had great gear. And I took everything I could off of them. And I had Dad's gun, which was a, crazy M1A kitted through the roof. And I get out, and I post the screenshot in the show loot section on the Discord. And I just put it up. I was like, I had like 1 million take just now in Resort. It was an awesome run. And then I clicked back into my inventory onto the, I think it was I don't know if it's a Fast MT or what's the other one called? I don't know. It's one of the, I call them a Chad helmet, but it was one of the Chad helmets, and it had a T7 thermal on it, which are like 4 million right now. So it's the first time I've ever seen it in game. And so I lost a bunch, but then I had this raid happen, and that thing's sitting in my inventory. I'm like, do I use it? Because I've seen the videos on it, and they look crazy, but it's 4 million rubles, man.
You've got gear fear over a new level there.
100% gear fear
you need
over the T7.
Like a 5-man for that T7. Like, that's the only way I'd use the T7 is like a 5-man. The chances of all of us being wiped is pretty slim, so I can use my T7. But if it's just me and a buddy, like, I'll just go look at it. Well, I'll look at it before I get in raid. I'll just check it out, make sure it's still there. It's still shiny. I shined it up earlier. It's looking good. And then I'm going to go into raid.
Yeah, it hasn't moved. It's been in the same spot in my inventory the whole time. I'm like, maybe you. I spend a lot of time helping people get through the gear fear in different phases of the game. And I've said it, at every phase of the game, you get through the early game, then you're going to get gear fear in the intermediate, and then in the mid game, and then into the end game. There's always that stuff that you don't want to use or you don't want to take into raids. And I'm so guilty of that on that thermal. Like, I'm like, that's going to go in the bottom corner of my inventory, and I kind of want to forget about it for a rainy day, but I kind of don't want to sell it either. So it's a very interesting item for me.
It's understandable. It's a 4 million ruble piece of equipment. There's nothing in the game that's other than that. You know what I mean? Like, you should have gear fear for that thing. It is expensive. Like, don't worry about having
right, that
gear
you
fear
can't
with
gamma, right? You can't gamma.
No, they took that away. They used to do some. There used to be some greasy things. You used to be able to put an MP7 in your gamma with a thermal in there, so it's still 2 slots, and then you used to be able to take it out, just scan for people, then put it back in your gamma. You know what I mean? There was like, it was a legit strategy. A lot of people used it, and they destroyed people with it.
Man.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting. They tend to want to take away some of those things to keep the game kind of more challenging. The flea market going from level 5 to 15. One thing, Geek, that I don't know if you've listened to our other shows, probably not, but one of the things that
a couple, give me a break.
All right. You're a fan. But for me, I got to level 5 because I'm an MMO player at heart, right? So I came from like WoW, and a bunch of MMOs, and so I started playing this, and I got to level 5, and I'm like, ooh, there's an auction house. I'm gonna make money. So I was level 5, and I had like 14 million rubles, and so I learned how to make money. But I think it's a good thing because that's not the way Tarkov was meant to be played. And now I have like 2 million rubles, but I'm actually playing the game. Dadcaster and Mike have shamed me into actually playing the game the right way.
But
so
there's nothing
working.
wrong with being a daytime trader, we call them. You know what I mean? Like if you want to do that, like, because I have friends that's what they enjoy about Tarkov. They enjoy, like, it's like a stock market for them. They're like, oh, this is really low right now. I know what this can go for. And if they do want to play the game like that, that's awesome. But they definitely jump in the game, dude. You know what I mean? Like the excitement that MT just said about going and getting that T7 and taking down a 3-man. There's nothing better unless you're like, I got a Red Rebel for 72 chocolate bars, man. Look at it. Like, I guess that's a pretty good feeling, but like, there's nothing better than
Show's over.
Mr. Chocolate Man over here in the corner.
I'm
he just shows up,
still
has chocolate over his lips all the whole podcast.
I'm just waiting till I run out of chocolate so that I can feel better. But I've been creating sugar on cooldown for the last like 6 days. And I'm just like, please just run out of chocolate.
Yeah, I played Shoreline so much. I probably played Shoreline for, not exaggerating, maybe close to 100 hours and never once went in a resort.
Yeah, I can see that.
I just hit all the caches, and
the caches are so good, right? The caches are amazing. And I barely know a lot on Shoreline, but I know there's tons.
So anyways, it's good stuff. I love how dynamic the game is, and that's kind of my whole point. So,
and I think it's pretty clear here that I don't think it matters what sort of topic we go into. We're going to be able to have some fun conversation because Geek's already throwing my Red Rebel back in my face. Thanks, man.
Chocolate Man's talking. Everyone shut up.
Everyone shut up. Come the next podcast. No, I'm not going to do that. I want to take a time now that we're well into the show here, and I really want to give people a chance to get to know you better, because I think a lot of people may have seen your videos, or maybe they don't remember seeing them, or who knows what, and you may be a new voice to them, you may not be, but for the people that haven't been introduced to you or haven't seen your YouTube channel, I kind of just wanted to ask you a couple personal questions, and really I want to know about how you got into creating content, and maybe what the path was into creating YouTube videos for Tarkov, because I'll say it, I'm a fan. It's pretty cool to have you on the show, and just because I remember watching a bunch of your stuff back in December when I first got the game. So I just wanted to get a little background on you and kind of how you got into it, man.
First let me say thank you. Like, that's really, it doesn't matter how many times I hear that stuff. I always am like, really? You know what I mean? Like, that's why you watch it. You really watch my stuff. Like, thank you. But so I started doing, well, let's go back, and I'm a Red Seal chef by trade. So what that is, it's a ticketed chef, so I've been in the culinary arts, or, I've been in a kitchen my whole life. I started as a dishwasher and I worked up to a head chef. And then eventually, it's tough making money. It's tough having a life. It's tough doing any of these stuff with that kind of job. So then I went into sales, and with sales, I did really well with sales. I'm not going to lie to you. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I really can build relationships really fast because I'm honest. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be honest with the customer. I'm going to be honest with you. I just build relationships really fast because I'm that Canadian friendly guy. You know what I mean? You're having a day at work, and I pop in once a week, and I'm like, I'll try to brighten your day and just have fun. And then I quit that because I was miserable, even though I was making more money than I'll ever make, I think, ever. And I was lost. I was like, what am I going to do? And I wanted to do support work for children with disabilities, but I have zero any experience on it. So I started trying to get into that, but I had a 3-month time where I wanted to just take it for me because I've never done that. And I had a nest egg built. And one thing that happened was back in the day when I went by another name on the internet, which I'll never give out because I'm sure I'm on forum posts from back in the day, but I used to be on in a clan, like a really smaller clan with like maybe 20 people, but we were really close. And I moved to this place called Kamloops, British Columbia. You know, I was born and raised out east. I went out west, and I'm now 3rd year in here, and I play hockey still here, you know, so I still see people, I'm meeting people, but most of the time I'm a loner. I'm by myself. I had my girlfriend that I was with at the time, but she'd go to, she was a bartender, so she'd work at night. And I was kind of just like bored. And I remembered about those clan things. I remembered Twitch TV, I remember that there's something called Twitch TV. So I actually started streaming just because I was lonely and I wanted to make friends like I did in the clan. And I actually started on a laptop. I have it right here. So I used the built-in microphone on the laptop, the built-in camera on the laptop, and I started streaming Hearthstone because I loved Hearthstone and it could stream on the laptop. Did that for, you know, a while. I started kind of growing an audience a little bit here and there. Started, you know, there was no such thing as affiliateship at this time. So I'd get like donations and, you know, I became friends with a person named Wow Hobbs, who is a really good friend of mine. And you play WoW. So do you know Wow Hobbs?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he's a bigger name in the industry, and I became friends with him because I just kept annoying him and telling him, hey, this month I did really well. You know, I just kept emailing him because he didn't really message me back, but I talked to him and I just wanted to let him know how I was doing. And I didn't know, I was just trying to make friends. And, eventually he's like, okay, he's taking this seriously. He's messaging me with his goals every month. And he started talking to me more and more. He was such a nice guy. And he'd raid me every once in a while. And it was funny because when a lot of people would follow me, my computer would crash because it was a laptop. So everyone loved it. And then they found out if you donate, my computer crashes. So it was even funnier to them when they donate like $5 and everyone's like, you're just lagging hard. But I started with a laptop. I started in the living room. So I never told my girlfriend at the time what I was doing. She'd go to work and then I'd like prep it all. And I'd have I had a really small table in the living room. And I had one of those small beach chairs from Costco that would sneak under it. So I'd do that. And I would just play Hearthstone. And the rest is history. Eventually, I switched from Hearthstone after 2 years because I just didn't like the game anymore. I started trying to do YouTube content because WoW Hobbs, I was like, YouTube. And I was like, yeah, I put out a video that takes me like 8-9 hours and I get like 20 views. You know what, Wow Hobbs? It's Twitch to me. And he was right in the end. Like, he was so right in the end. It is about YouTube. If you guys are trying to do Twitch, I always say go do YouTube because Twitch isn't a discoverability platform. It's very hard. It kind of limits you. If you're always at one, you're going to be at one for a long time. You know, make sure you have your friend's computer on it, your laptop on it, you know, put whatever you can on there and try to get those viewers too.
So, I mean, obviously that was like a sort of discovery process of like your Twitch, and someone saying YouTube. And obviously when you start any channel of any kind, there's a growth period and there's that challenging time. So like, what was the breakthrough for you on YouTube where you're like, oh, this is it?
Well, so I started Hearthstone for 2 years and I got bored with it. And to be honest, I always make a comparison to Hearthstone to Tarkov. It actually makes sense, right? With Hearthstone, every 4 months, there's a peak and valley. So a new set comes out and then people get bored and then it goes down and then a new set comes out. And it's the same thing with Tarkov in the end, right? It's you know, the new patch comes out, it kind of fizzles out and then it comes back up again because the new patch comes out. So I was playing Warframe for a little bit too because I love loot. I love looting games. I love like Borderlands, Division. I played for a bit. I love that. Warframe, which I called Frimfram at the time. I played that for a little while, but then I got bored of it. And then I remembered I had Tarkov. And I remembered it was like, I played it probably 6 months before that. And I was like, how everyone was, right? Like, I was like, F this game. You know what I mean? I'm just keep dying. Like, I spawn on interchange. Where's that shot coming from? Okay, I'm done with this game for like every once in a while I throw it on because someone in my chat that I was friends with, I knew played it, and I'd be like, let's go play it. And then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, I'm going to go play Frim again, man. It's way, I can do stuff in there. So in January, I really started taking it serious. At about December, October, I started taking Tarkov seriously. I really started trying to learn it. And I realized on YouTube I was trying to do gunsmith tasks, and there was a lot of good ones, but I thought, like, how would I want to lay it out? And I was like, okay, I would lay it out like this. So I was like, okay, well, I'll try to do one how I would lay it out. And it had more views than I've ever gotten on any video. And I was like, ooh, 3 subs today. Ooh. And I was dancing, and I was like, so, and then a week goes by and I do another one, and people are starting to like them. And then I kind of made a breakthrough with people are searching for stuff on Escape from Tarkov, especially tutorials on missions and everything, because they don't tell you what to do. No one tells you what really to do in this game. So it's actually a perfect game for people to go into YouTube to search for stuff because they don't know how to do it either. So I just tried to think about how I'd want stuff laid out. You know what I mean? Like, and how I want stuff laid out is like I'm a 5-year-old almost. I want the picture. I want to know where it comes from. Like it's Peacekeeper level 2, and here's the picture of it. Okay, perfect. Next. And then I would just lay them out like that. And then eventually I started doing other tutorials. And then my big break, honestly, like I was doing really well for the past, since last January. So last January, I had about 500 subs, and today now I have just over 40,000. And you know, it's been growing because of all the tutorials I have and everything. But the one big breakthrough tutorial was the beginner guide. That thing it blew up after 0.12 came out. It just blew up.
That's what the one I found, man. I literally Googled Tarkov beginning or starting Tarkov or whatever, and that was in the top like 2 or 3 videos, and I watched all 3 of them. And I remember watching that one from you, and then I was just like, oh, what's this one that he has? Oh, what's this one that he... I mean, I went through so many, and I still remember it because you have a very distinct YouTube intro. You know, I don't know how many seconds it is, but I'll never forget it. It's that's really cool that it's that video, because that's actually the one that I saw.
Yeah, that one just surpassed 1 million views. So
that's
it was
awesome,
like,
dude.
It was insane. It's insane. And it's 40 minutes long. You know what I mean? Like, but here's the thing, like that video, 40-minute video took me 40 hours. Like it like these videos, it's not like, you know, it's not like I'm just like bing, bang, boom, they're done. You know, like the video I put out yesterday, it's a lot of prep work. You know, I put one out, I'm starting Tarkov for Dummies, where I just focus on one section of the map. I show you, so I did West Wing. I show you what's in West Wing, like what's behind every door, where all the lootable items are, everything. And it's a lot of prep work. Like it's like about an hour and a half, 2 hours of me just writing stuff down in my serial killer handwriting and being like, okay, here's this is on this floor. How many of these containers are on this floor? And then I'm going through it, recording the video, doing audio. It takes me about, like, honestly, that video took me 12 hours. It was maybe 20 minutes long, which was nice, but it was I did it pretty fast. I'm getting faster somewhat at videos, but it's still like takes a long time to do those types of videos.
Yeah, for sure. We're kind of experiencing that ourselves, so it's interesting.
Well, it's interesting when you talk to other content creators and they're like, how long does it take you to do your videos? You know, like the big guys I talk to, and I'm like, oh, it takes me about, like, you know, I'd say like anywhere from average to like 6 to 10 hours. He's and there's a couple of guys that are big, and they're like, okay, we got to cut that down to 2. And I was like, no, I can't. Like, they're like, I don't know how to do that, and I feel like that's not my style. My style is very, even though you don't want to think, like, even though you might look at it and be like, this is garbage, I do try to produce it quite a bit. So it is really interesting. Different
Well, it
styles
is,
of
and it,
YouTube.
well, it is, and we've experienced the same thing, right? Because we cut the audio up and we cut video up, and there's a point where I just think it's really important, and I love that you're saying that because the quality does shine through, and that's what I want to say at the beginning of what I'm about to say, because for us, we have that kind of same sort of feeling about the audio for us. We always want the audio, being a podcast, we want the audio to sound good, and it's like someone who's found the show or found the videos or whatever, they're like, just put it out. Like, we like you already, just put it out. But I think with Tarkov especially, this game is so hard for new people. The way that we think about it is like, we don't want our audio taking away from someone's ability to learn something and get better. And I kind of see that same thing in your videos where it's like, you want it to be as clean as it can be so that someone can consume it. And I guess the question I have is based on an assumption that I got from watching it, but you seem to have a real mindset for new players, even in your more advanced videos. And so is that an intentional thing you do in your Tarkov series?
I think it's just how my brain works with everything. Like I'm not the brightest person. Like I'm that typical Canadian. Oh yeah, play hockey and just have a couple of tough guy sodas and we'll go at it. So I'm very simplistic in the way I think. I'm very simplistic. Like, if you explain something to me in World of Warcraft, I want you to explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. That's the best way to say it. So when I'm making stuff, I want to break it down the easiest way possible. And you know what? If the more veteran players want just the information like now, that's not who I am, and they can go watch someone else. I'm here to break it down so that everyone can enjoy it, and the main reason is because I quit the game. So my whole YouTube is, I don't want you to quit the game. I quit it once. I played it for like maybe 3 weeks. I quit it because I just, not to say there wasn't other creators out there. Nothing caught for me. Nothing spoke to me. And now that, I play the game and it's my main game. I love this thing. I love this game so much that I want people to stay with this game. So I want to bring you guys the easiest to digest, the most easy to understand videos so that you stay with the game, because it's, I believe once you get a little bit invested and once you just see yourself learning a little bit and seeing yourself get like, oh man, I just killed my first PMC, to like, oh, I just killed 10 PMCs and I got, oh, look at this gun. Like the best part about Tarkov is I can die from a level 5. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's lucky shots. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as good as I am at a map, you never know who's looking around with a Mosin. And you know what? If a level 6 kills me with a Mosin, that's unreal. Like, good for them.
Yeah, or you kill a level 21 and go up and he's wearing an army helmet and an MBSS, and you're like, I just wasted bullets.
Well, it's funny because with the SP6 or SP5 today, me and my buddy Crazen, we were against a 5-man in the corner of reserve. They were in one of the corners by the sniper towers, and then there was another 2 guys there too. So we snuck there. We saw them. We had map knowledge. We knew what to do. I had a little bit of a higher ground by the tower, and I killed 3 buttered out boys with SP520 rounders that were like, they had amazing stuff. And it's because I had map knowledge, right? Like and that's one of the things I get a lot of, like, how do I make money? What's the best stuff? And it's like, you don't need that. You need map knowledge and you'll be fine. Map knowledge is key. Map knowledge is king in this game.
One thing I'm sitting here thinking about, because I love what you do. Like Mike talked about being a fanboy of your stuff, but I'm also a huge fanboy of your stuff.
Thank you, buds.
So it's awesome. And what I'm curious about is, as you kind of connected with the people who are searching for that knowledge, trying to do the same thing, like keep people playing the game, how did your community kind of react? How did it grow? Like what kinds of, how's the journey been as you've kind of built that community?
So, Point 12 really built the community, and I already had like, it's funny when I was playing Hearthstone, everyone's like, Geekseh if you ever switch games, it doesn't matter what you play, dude. We're going to come with you. 99% weren't there. You know what I mean? Like, and because there's no, like, going from a card game to a first person shooter is such polar opposites that I totally get it. Some people did stick around, some people just like watching and hanging out, but I had to regrow the community a lot of it. As I was growing the community, it was people that were either watching my tutorials or just came in and understood how I am. And now the community I have is so strong with questions. It's amazing. Like, that's the number one thing I love is, like, I try to keep up with chat as much as possible. I die so many times in raid because I'd rather look at chat and talk to them than play the game a lot of the time because I'm having more fun. And any question in there, if I don't answer it right away, someone else is on it. So my community is all about, like, everyone's there because they're they learned and they got a lot better, and now they're still there hanging out, and they want to teach too and help everyone out because they love the game. That's kind of how my community is right now. And it doesn't need much modding. I do have a lot of, like, a good chunk of mods, but like they don't have to do a lot of times for like trolls and stuff. They do help me out on the back end though a lot of times. That's where they shine.
One of the things, I mean, I'm a personal fan of the 8-bit fireplace. I think that's awesome.
Yes, thank you. I do a lot of I have a lot of skits. I do a lot of like multimedia stuff. I'm very, very weird like that for sure.
Well, you know what? We're all fellow nerds, right? So the 8-bit fireplace with the snow, being in Minnesota, which is almost Canada. If you ask some people, it is Canada.
Yeah.
I just love it, man. So I was just curious about that because we're kind of experiencing something similar, on a smaller scale because we're only, a couple months in. But it just seems like this game is full of people who like to help each other. And I think the game itself is punishing enough that you kind of have to develop that kind of a culture around it, but it's been fun. It's not like the same, I'll say, classic FPS crowd, which is something that I personally was not interested in getting into again. Yeah, it's cool.
I think, just to quickly wrap up this in a bow, I think the game is a smaller game, even though we went through a big uptick there with how it blew up recently. I think the community is still smaller and they love the game like I do. They love the game like you guys do. And all they want is more people to come play. Because if you guys, I know you guys weren't around, but like at the end of like 11.7, 11.5, and there's like no one playing the game, it was really depressing, man. It was really sad. I don't care how many viewers are on Twitch. I it's just like you trying to like, oh, there's one other person maybe on this map. I haven't seen anyone in a while. Like, we know what this game entails, and it's an amazing game, and we're so happy that so many other people have seen what this game is about, and it's getting the recognition it deserves. And we just want to keep those people, right? We just want to be like, yeah, stick around. Come on. It's your new drug.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is there's so many experienced players, but there's so many new players right now, and one of the things I love is hearing about sort of the history of the game, because there's just that's not out there. It's hard to go find that. A lot of times videos will get updated or taken down when they're too far out of date. And you can go back and watch some old videos of factory and old models and all that kind of stuff. But it's really cool to hear that, the people that have been around the game and stuck with it are now seeing people come in that seem to be of like mind and they're enjoying the game, so that's really cool.
I just to let you know, I don't want to say I'm an OG by any means. I've only been playing this since last January. So I definitely know what you're saying. Sorry, go on. I don't want to come off like I've been here forever. Like, no, I haven't been here forever at all.
No, but I've experienced that in a bunch of other games, right? Things will happen that bring people in. And I can hear your passion for the game, which is what I was trying to pull out. And I love that. And it's whether you're, new a year ago, new 2 years ago, new last month, you just bought the game a few days ago. We hear that stuff all the time. And it's just cool that how quickly people get the feel and the emotion and the gear fear when they start playing this game. But it turns into things that are meta or funny or its own sort of language. And so one of the things you said just a few minutes ago that I want to know some of these like acronyms that you brought up, because you said buttered boy, and I haven't heard that one before. So like, is that like a juiced PMC? Or
Yeah.
what is
So
a
like
buttered
at
boy?
the channel, I have like a butter emote. Like we call them butter boys. You know, like they're buttered out. You know, it's just like a lot of like insider. You know, it's in like, and that's what's good about the Twitch community is, you know, you come in and there's all these, you know, little emotes or people talking about something, and then it's kind of inside. It's an inside joke, and people are like, what does this mean? And you're like, oh, butter is like, that's a butter boy. We call him instead of juice, because everyone uses juice, we use butter. And then they become part of the inside joke. You know what I mean? And that's what's amazing about, you know, finding a community and like really like being friends with these internet people. There's a lot of people on the internet that I'm better friends with than in real life. Like I talk to these guys every day. And, you know, we know a lot about their lives and stuff. Where it comes to IRL, I'm like, guys, I can't go out. I'm busy. I'm working. You know what I mean? But in reality, I'm talking to these people. You know, it's just they don't come into my realm. That's all, you know?
Right. It's that again, though. It's just like that little. It just goes into what I love about the game, because even in like the little pockets of people I play with, or I'll go, you know, jump around in the Discord channel when a bunch of people are playing. Right. Like I look up right now and there's like 5 or 6 squads in the Discord going right now, and you go in and you hear different people talk about different things or laugh about it, and it's like there's so much potential for content and community in this game that it's cool to see and get a little insight into some that's going on. So thanks for explaining the buttery delight that is a juiced.
Yeah, we're totally going to use that now.
Yeah. There's a show title there somewhere. $5
subs. There's butter. You can have the butter emote for $5.
Yes.
So on a more strategic note, you mentioned something that we had briefly touched on before the show, before we started getting in, and you talked about map knowledge is king. Mm-hmm. And one of the things on the last episode or the one prior, we talked a lot about spotting. We talked about spotting as a skill to really work on. And we actually, for those that were really struggling with seeing other players, we talked about, you know, here's some other games you could even play that have faster action, but you rely heavily on spotting, because we think that's a really important skill. Mm-hmm. Now, map knowledge is obviously critical, but you've said it a number of times to me in a way that makes me think it might be the most important thing in your eyes. Is that true? Is there other skills that you think people should really look to develop as they're trying to get better at this game?
I think there's multiple skills from knowing equipment and levels to knowing what kind of ammo you should be using if you're trying to penetrate something. But when it comes to like the end all be all thing, when people say, do you have any tips for me? I just bought the game. There's 2 things I tell people. 1, have fun and just know you're going to be repeat. I can't even say the word right now, but anyways, you're going to repeatedly die over and over and over again, and just have fun doing that. Like, just try to find some fun in that, because this game, I don't think there's many games that you can play that translate to this game. Like, you can play COD and you can be good at first person shooters, but this is a whole different beast. You know what I mean? It's like golf. Like, you can play hockey and baseball and it kind of transfers over, but nothing really, you can't transfer skills into golf, really. It's just like such a weird sport, right? And the same thing goes, I think, with Tarkov. It's a game that you really have to just like, it's like you have to study this game. Like it's really sad to say, but you do have to like start researching stuff, start learning stuff. It's a lot to take in all at once, but I think map knowledge is one of the things that I tell people, like, go offline. What I did when I first started was I forced myself, like, I didn't have 2 monitors at this time, so I made my girlfriend print out at her work like big pieces of the maps. Like, I would just get every map printed out and I'd be like, okay, I want to go here on the map. And I didn't know where I was going, but I'm going to look for landmarks. Like, if I was lost in the woods or something, I'm going to find my way there. And you just do that repeatedly. And then you just go into real raids and you start learning. You go into player scavs, you start doing those, and you're like, oh, I know this area, it's over here, you know, do, and you start noticing that you're going to be becoming more fluid with the map. You know what you're doing. And the best place that I can say this really does take effect, or you'll notice it, is somewhere like resort. When you're on resort and you're facing some people and you know they're like somewhere here, it's like, okay, that room doesn't have an exit, so he's trapped, or that room does have an exit, so he might jump off the balcony. So you stay here, I'm going to go down and cover the front side in case he jumps. It's just stuff like that when you're playing with experienced players, that you might be in trouble because they know the map a little better than you, or you might think, oh, I'm going to jump down. They're like, I'm already prepared for you to do that. Or if you're on the roof, you're like, I know I can survive this jump. And I know, like, what most people do is they'll come through the front of shoreline, and say you're on the roof, and you'll hear them run. And then once they hit the front of shoreline, to get into resort, they creep walk. So you just, you know, you morphine up, you jump down, and you know they're right there because they're trying to creep walk so that no one hears them. But they were running 2 minutes ago, and they're screwed now because they didn't know that you're coming for them. So I think map knowledge is more important than what armor you're wearing, what gun you're using. Because I always tell people, it doesn't matter what gun you use. If you put it in the right person's hands, they're going to, like, give it to Pestily, give it to Anton. They'll destroy you with it, probably. You know?
And I agree with that, right? It's funny how, like, conversation always goes back to guns and ammo and all of that, but I really like this focus on the maps because it can be used as a weapon, to your point. Like, if you know how someone may act, or maybe a better way to say it is, you know the scenarios that they could do, and if you're playing with a squad, you can cover all of them, or most of them are the most likely. But that, you can weaponize that. You know what I mean? You can use that against them. You know, if you know they can jump off the balcony and you're by yourself and you can cover the inside, well, throw a grenade outside. Make them not want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can use it to your advantage. But we spent a good chunk of our last episode. Ronal actually went through his runs that specifically avoid the resorts, right? for people that are newer and they don't want to get into that PvP. Exactly. And just ways to get in and around that map, because he's been using that very effectively to make the transition from scavving. And he's been leveling a lot, but this is his sort of breakthrough, if I can pack that 30-minute conversation down to 2 seconds. There's the breakthrough of scaving more as a PMC, basically. So can we talk a little bit about Shoreline? Because we keep talking about it in this episode. It's fresh for us, and I'd really like to talk about the resort. And, like, what about that part of the map is critical to know? Or are there things that you focus on when trying to learn an area to gain that extra knowledge?
So, just to touch on Ron here, I'm not trying to pimp out videos, but I did put out a video recently, a little while ago, about cheap keys for resort. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to tell people, because when they come in, because what I tell people right away is learn customs, because I'm sorry to say, but unfortunately it's where your first tasks are, and tasks are so important. Just like map knowledge, you should be getting tasks done, unfortunately. And a lot of times you're screwed because they're on customs and there's a bunch of butter boys there and you have to be careful, and it's funneled, right? It's just, anyway. So, everyone's like, what's the next map I should learn? And I always tell them Shoreline. I think Shoreline, it's a great map. There is a lot of, like, there's people that just run for resort, and there's a lot of hatcheters. So, like, you pretty much have the outskirts. So I always tell them, learn the outskirts. Of course, there's a lot of caches like you do, Ron. There's a lot of areas you can go to that aren't heavily populated. But I put out another video. I called it, like, cheap keys for Shoreline. Because what I recommended people doing was, I said, go learn all around Shoreline, go do the runs there, and then what you do is, like, the last, like, 25 minutes, force yourself, unless you have, like, unbelievable loot, force yourself to go into resort, because everyone's probably gone, and there might be some player scavs or a couple of scavs just wandering around. But use these cheaper keys, because no one really uses them, because they're it's mediocre loot. It's not amazing, but to you could pick up easily, $200,000 worth of keys and easily make, something like at least 50 to 75,000 a good run, maybe even 100,000. What I like about the PvP there is if you like the resort, or the customs, what's the 3-story customs. So if you like that type of battle, the long hallways and the intricate close quarter, that's what I like about Shoreline Resort.
Really quick, I don't want to interrupt you on it.
No, sorry.
But like,
I'll go on later. Don't worry.
One of the things I want to say is like, we wouldn't be talking today if it weren't for your videos. So like, please don't apologize for your videos, man. Like, no. I'm just saying, like, and for anyone that's listening too, like, I love your videos, man, and I recommend them to anybody. And the fact that you've made videos on some of these subjects is so cool. So like, if you've made something that's like directly related, please tell us about it. That's why we wanted to have you on here. And we also found you and are talking to each other and got to meet you in the last day because of that. So there's no apology necessary here. We actually give a whole section at the end of the show when we have a guest on to plug anything and everything. So please, if something's related, put it in there. So I didn't mean to cut you off on the Shoreline stuff because I'm a PvP junkie. I am the FPS guy that has played all the games that Ronal and I kind of butt heads on those games a little bit, but I'm super excited to hear about this PvP inside the resort.
Ronal, how are you finding it though? How are you finding Resort? You're touching in there. What do you think of it? Like, as a newer player, I want to know your opinion really fast too.
I used to avoid Resort. I used to make a joke, maybe like, the long time of 5 episodes ago. I think I made a joke about how if I were to make a map of Shoreline, I would put a big black box over this void area. Like, I'm not sure what's beyond this fence. No one goes past it. The truth is because, like, Mike's a 2,000 plus hour PUBG player, so PvP to him is new and fresh. I was an old school FPS player back in the day, but that was a long time ago. And so I haven't really been into FPSs for a long time. And this game caught me because of all just everything, right? We've gone over that a little bit. So I learned all of the outside, like you said. I learned all of the outskirts of Shoreline, broke it down into 4 quadrants, had things I could do no matter where I spawned. I was at the point where I could exfil with routinely probably 7 out of 10 times with maybe 400k, Mm-hmm. And because of that, I didn't feel the need to go into Resort. So, but then came the first quest, Signals Part 2, I think. Yeah. Where so I get the quest, and I hit up Trigger one night, and I'm like, dude, I gotta go to this very scary land. And so he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we go in there and got my first kind of introduction to it. Now the thing is, I'm not personally great at close quarters combat. Mm-hmm. So it's like dorms on customs. It's just not. I'm not comfortable doing it, and so and in Resort. So what I've been doing is doing SCAV runs into Resort to learn it. I die probably like 7 out of 10 times, but I really am more focusing on knowing where the hallways go, where the rooms are, where the cover is, where you typically can get out or around things. So that's kind of how I've been trying to learn it. I know there's all kinds of high value loot spawns there. I have no idea where any of them are. It's basically, I think Resort's a pretty tall hill to climb, figuratively and literally speaking, when it comes to learning, like, and being very good at it. Like, for example, the call-outs, the comms, those kind of things in squads going into Resort. There's a pretty steep learning curve there. But as a new player, like I've said a lot on the show with everything at Tarkov, I'm not afraid of it. I mean, I want to learn how to do it. It just became like, okay, so if I can play for an hour a day, how much am I gonna beat my head on that versus level my hideout so I can get my Bitcoin empire going?
Well, it's funny because I come from a total background like you. I don't play FPSs either. Like, I played PUBG on the computer, but my FPSs come from Xbox. I was an Xbox fanboy. I love Halo. Oh, Halo Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo Reach. Oh, baby, those are my jams. But like, so one thing that I do have is I actually have a foot pedal. So I have a foot pedal to lean. So Q&E is mapped to like a foot pedal because I'm so like Q&E is just so foreign to me to lean with it. It's just so I get where that you're coming from, like, you know, coming to a FPS and luckily enough, I'm able to play it a lot more than an hour a day, right? So I did get to know Resort, and to deep dive in why I love Resort is a lot of people don't like the sound, right? Like you'll hear that a lot. Oh, the sound sucks. The sound sucks. But like if you play something enough, I kind of know what the sound means. So, you know, especially like that's bushes. Okay, I know that they're this way of bushes. Okay, I'm just going to peek out of this window. I know they're probably right here and I can kill them. It's that kind of stuff that like, it's like when you play a Call of Duty map or something that you love and it's your favorite, you know, that feeling of like, I know this map, you know what I mean? Like I can play this map all the time because I know everything about it. That's the feeling Resort gives me. And the high value loot, you know what I mean? Like when you do find high value loot. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so one thing about the sound, like for me personally, so I learned the sound in a very simple place that has helped me in Resort, and that's on Shoreline in the pier building.
Yes.
So I'm in the pier building looting, and there's glass. There's glass right on the corner where people always run in and go to the left and take cover. And so like I learned the very simple sound there. When I hear that glass, crouch, point towards the door. They're coming. Shoot them every time. You know what I mean? Stuff like that where you're up in the office hitting the safes, and then you hear someone. You hear the clodhoppers walk on the wood downstairs. Stop and wait because they're going to come right to you. Shoot them in the face. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the sound. And I realize that's a very simple spot, but for me, not being used to that was a huge breakthrough in my desire to even go into dorms or into Resort, was learning that sound.
Yeah, it's those little cues you're gonna hear that will really, like, you know, in Resort, it's barbed wire. Okay, I hear someone jumping and it's barbed wire.
Yep.
I know where you are on the second floor, and there's a lot of holes that go onto other floors. So I can be like, okay, I can drop down this hole and I could be near him, or I can just wait and go up the back stairs and try to like wait that way. It is a lot of waiting game, you know, and especially like the long hallway between each wing, right? You're like, it sounds like buffaloes coming at me. I know where you're coming from, so I'm just going to quickly peek, boom, 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 and then go back. And the other thing is with these high value loot rooms, once you learn them, you kind of get an idea of where the keys are opening. You know what I mean? It's like, I know where you are. If that's a third floor key for West Wing, I'm guaranteeing you're probably in 301 trying to find a Letic. So I know you're trapped and I just got to wait for you to come out, and then or you can wait on the other side of East Wing, and then I know people are going to come into the West Wing. And you know, a lot of people right now, actually, I have a joke because I have two dog tag cases, and one's just for hatchlings and pistol boys, and one's for people that run real stuff. And I always say it's because like I don't mix the scum with the real players, but it's just a joke, because what I'm doing is I want to do a YouTube video about like the average, you know, what I find with the average once it gets full. What's the average pistol runner and hatchling, you know? And there's nothing wrong with pistol. Like in my head, I don't get mad that you're taking the loot. Like, you know, my argument with pistoling and hatchling is I'm not mad you're taking the loot. I can care less about really the loot. What I care about is content, and content is PvP and getting into good fights. And what they're doing is they're just taking a spot of someone that might have brought me a good fight, because today I died, but like I might have got third man. So I got into a good battle. Me and Krazen got into a good battle with someone and maybe another team, and we killed them. And then someone else got me, but Krazen, you know, killed them. But like in the end, I'm still happy because I got into a good fight. Where if I go into Resort looking for a fight and all I find is 5 pistolings or hatchlings, it's like, well, that was kind of a waste. Like okay, you guys gamut a bunch of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because you're learning the game, I get it. But like you said, I have a firm rule. If you're under 15 or under, I don't take their stuff unless it's like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Unless it's like, you shouldn't have this. But
you know what's interesting is that I don't really do the hatchling thing at all. and I have nothing against the people that do it like you do, but I just think it's kind of boring. Like let me give you a little perspective. Like, if I want to go somewhere, I want to fight. Yeah. And what's really fascinating is the transition, and Mike's going to laugh because I've gone from like hiding and stopping every 5 seconds listening to running into resort, right? Or running into dorms on customs. Just because, why not? The worst that happens is I die, and just keep going. So it's interesting that I think there's a purpose for the hatchling piece if you're trying to make money. But if you have the economy piece down in Tarkov, if you can play the flea market, you don't really have to do that. Am I not understanding something? Or is there...
LedXs are not understanding how awesome LedXs are to find.
Yeah, it's like what, 1.6, 1.7 million each time. And that's...
And you can find two in one room, dude. Like, imagine that, right? You're like instant millionaire. You feel good.
Yeah, so they're literally running up there and hoping to get there first.
And that's the problem with the spawns, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, and I get it, right? But that can't be fun you're not going to play Tarkov like that forever. It's just not fun. I don't know. At least not to me. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I would look at it on the other side of it and say that I think if the flea market, the economy, currency, and that part is challenging for somebody or they don't like it, I would see them being more likely to pistol run, which may seem opposite. But if someone's like, no, I want to get into labs, I want to do factory night raids, I want to go super kitted out, I think there's a argument to be made that might be the person who's doing pistol runs or going in and trying to find that high tier loot so that they can fund what they're trying to do on the other side. So I don't think it's as, clear and cut just to say, oh yeah, this is just somebody who's trying to, get their economy crazy. I think there's actually a number of reasons why you would do it.
And I'm not going to sit here and not tell you my first video on Tarkov was how to do a rat run. I showed you, but so I'm gonna like explain a couple things. So I did have a rat run video, but what I used to do, and I was new to the game, and so I would stream it and I would just lose all my money because I was using stuff and I was going. So what I would do is if I was making content that night or if I was just hanging out with the missus, I'd put myself as a SCAV and I'd hide myself in factory. And then I'd set a timer. So when there was like 8 minutes left and I knew everyone was gone, I would just go up, I'd get up, I'd come back to my computer and I'd just hoover up all the stuff that was there. But I always made it a rule. I don't attack other players. If there's players there, I just die because that's not fair. But, I have made a video like that, or I've made a video on like how to get the shoreline red key, here's get a pistol, get some armor, maybe get a quick bag and you can start looting it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing this stuff. If you want to do it because you're new and you just want to make $1 million, or you just bought the LedX key and you're down $1 million, so you're like, I need to find 1 or 2 so that I make my money back plus some, so it's a good investment. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, Ron just said he got all his stuff back from budget runs. So why not use at least half decent stuff so maybe you could kill me instead of just having a hatchet and me running at you and then you just ultimately dying. You know what I mean? Because the problem is I don't let hatchling survive most of the time. Sometimes if we're having fun, I get it. But like I've had experiences where they've gotten a gun later on and they're coming to hunt me down and they have killed me. So again, I think you're going to get your stuff back and you're not getting better at the game. You are becoming better at map knowledge for sure, I'm sure, because you know your route from wherever you spawn. Like wherever you spawn, you know how to get to resort now, right? Or wherever you're going to get to that spawn. And maybe you want a docs case from the marked room or something like that. But I just want people to you're not going to fall in love with the game doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to have a good time doing just pistol runs and or hatchling runs. And maybe I'm wrong to say that, but I don't think you're going to fall in love with the game. You're going to get bored of it eventually because you're not getting better at PvP where you're going to get more gear.
No, I actually 100% agree with you, because in a different way, I experienced the same thing. I got bored with not doing tasks. I mean, like I said, I was level 5 or 6, and I never PMC'd because why? I had all this money, and I was like, okay, I was almost tempted to just play something else, but I was like, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch more to this. So I think you can overdo any aspect of this for sure.
And like you said, you got so much, like everyone always tells me they don't get insurance returns back. But when I play like budget runs, or I just use like semi good things. So like I went through a big, what I do is I usually go through big stints of using like one gun because I'm testing stuff. So right now it's Val with SP6 or SP5 ammo, 20 rounders. Before it was the SKS trade for 1 GP coin, because I think that's a great trade. It's mechanic level 2 or peacekeeper level 2. I forget which one, but 1 GP coin for a very nice SKS that you can just put a grip on. You put a sight on, and if you want, you could put a silencer on. And even PS ammo, that thing will do some damage. And its GP coin's only like, what, 30,000, if that right now?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I always do these weird tests where I'm just using, you know, a weird gun just to test it out, see what it's like. And then I'll tell you guys about it. And I'll be honest. I noticed like I'd get like the SKS back, maybe without the silencer on it, but I'd get the SKS back most of the time. Maybe they'd take the PK06 and everything, but the gun itself, people don't want to spend like have that much room in their inventory because they're looking for other stuff. So they're like, this thing's only worth like 40,000, and it takes up, because everyone does that now, right? You're like, okay, the horse sells for 5,000. It takes up 2 slots. This is the worst thing to put in your inventory. It is. The horse is probably the worst thing to put in your inventory.
Yep.
So you're looking at an SKS that's worth 30,000, takes up 6 slots. You're like, this is bad. Okay, I'm going to not take this, but I will take the silencer and the PK06 and whatnot, but you'll get the gun back, right? And I think the game really flourishes, like I have always said, when you do break through and you kill someone and you're like, what do they have? Like, I still get the rush when you take down like anyone and you're like, oh, he had something good on him. I know it. Let's go see. Oh, that's a sick HK. You know what I mean? Like, I killed in Resort today, fast MT guy, face shield, full Gen 4 with the whole HK kit and caboodle with that SP5 and the EXFIL. I was on cloud 9, and you know, like, I kill people, but I was just like, you know, I was pumped, man. Like, I was really pumped. Like, and to get that feeling, I want people to feel that, because that's what's going to hook people into the game. It's not going to be like, I found another Lennox. Woo! Woo! You know what I mean? Like, but who am I to say? Like, that's the big thing in the end. Who are we to judge these people? Who am I to say anything? But you have to understand, on the other end, when a lot of content creators say, you know, damn hatchlings or whatever, it's not because you're taking you know, everyone's loot. It's because of people just want PvP. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and I think you kind of said it there. Is like we say this all the time, like, find your way to play this game, you know, and we all have our own progression paths, right? I'm on a similar one that I would say you are, just that as a shorter, you know, time spent in the game, where like I'm interested in PvP. I'm interested in good battles, whether I win or lose,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, you know, going and looting the T7 off of that guy on Shoreline, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with playing this game however you want. And the big reason is because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is exfilling successfully. Everything that happens in the map happens in the map. And everyone has the same goal of getting out. Now, obviously, throwing stuff into your secured container is a way to get around that a little bit. But at the end of the day, most people that are pistol running or hatchet running, they don't want to die. They want to get the stuff and then hopefully get their backpack out, unload it, and get out. So there's still that little bit of angst within them. I agree with you.
Sorry, I know we have a lot of time and we can talk about the next subject I'm going to bring up. What's your thought process on if they lock the secure container?
Explain locking it, though.
You can't put anything in it.
Once you can only bring stuff in it, and then...
So they tested that at the pre-wipe event, which was stupid. Everything was cheap anyways. It's just like the level 15 flea market thing, right? Like, I feel the same way how I do. I'll answer quickly. I feel the same way as level 15 with I kind of do about the secure container. My point of view is so skewed because I do play this for a living and I have all this time on my hands to play it. So I don't want the secure container to be locked. I honestly don't. I think we need to have a fine balance of video game kind of characteristics on the game. And like you were saying, Ron, is you only have an hour to play. I want people to feel like progression's coming. And if you lock that container and you don't put that gas analyzer in the secure container, it's really sad, right? Like, I don't want that. I want you to feel some sort of progression within an hour.
Yeah, I think for me, I can look at this one both ways, being a relatively new player, but also being someone that can and has put a fair amount of hours into Tarkov in the last few months. And I think on one hand, it would be really cool to know that I could kill anyone at anywhere on the map, and I may be able to loot a LEDX.
It's an ultimate loot pinata, right?
Right, it is. And then the flip side of that is, this game is high anxiety anyway. So if I can't save those best things after you've been able to save them for a long time, I think if the game was developed in the beginning with the lock secure container, this would be a much easier change. But that is a radical shift. But I could also see it from the standpoint of what we just talked about was all three of us at different times in the last year and 2 months, since you started a year and 2 months ago, but we've all experienced this same sort of thing where we figure out a map, we figure out how to loot on the map, and we figure out how to PvP on the map. Ooh, this is kind of fun. This is kind of what I want to do on this map.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a common progression trend. And I think the truth is, if people are going to run in and do loot, I would almost rather them have the safety to do that and then get the heck out. Because right now, I think the game is pretty well balanced as it stands between looting and PvP and incentivizing people to do both. The secure container, to me, is worrisome in that a massive change in that could lead to people playing way more passive because they're scared to lose the loot.
Yeah.
Or leading people to play way more aggressive, knowing that they can kill someone and get whatever loot they picked up. And I think there's a really fine balance that, fortunately for Battle State, that this latest patch that brought so many people in, that the balance of the rat and the Chad is really good right now. And people kind of go in between both, where there's situations where I'm like, oh man, my secure container's full, and I got a green gunpowder, and I got you got all this stuff, and you're like, I don't want to die. So I can slow down a little bit and not feel bad about it. But the opposite end of the spectrum is true as well. But the balance right now, I think, is really good. So I don't know that I'd want to see it one way or the other just because of the balance that I'm experiencing.
Or it brings the dreaded extract campers. Sorry, I just wanted to do that.
Right. No, that's what I mean.
Everyone says.
Yeah.
Extract campers are going to be everywhere. You know what? Half the map will be extract campers. They'll be camping the campers and then waiting to go. Like, yeah. Anyway, sorry, Rod.
Well, so I'm fascinated by the business aspect of this decision. Because remember, they said they want to keep this as hardcore as possible, right? They're not interested in making it easy. But you have to balance that with they need money. So they need people to play the game. So, I don't really have a strong opinion either way because I'm not far enough in my Tarkov journey where it matters as much to me. Mm-hmm. So I'll just preface my comment here by saying that. But I think that this game is going to have an interesting time with long-term player retention if they make it so punishing that a 5-hour-a-week player can't progress in a reasonable state. Because because I'm that guy, right? I'm a dad. I've got full-time job, right? And I love this game. So I probably invest more time than the average player is willing to put in, even in my situation. But still, I'm at that 5 to 10 hours a week tops, right? And if I can't reasonably progress my character, I may love the game, but it's just not going to be worth my time to play. So that's what I'm really curious. I don't know how much Battlestate cares about that or is aware of that, because in their podcasts that they've done, they just keep talking about keeping it hardcore, making it not easy, making it realistic. And I get all that, right? That's the appeal. But I think that's the bigger question. If they make this change, do they kill off so many players that they don't have enough money to develop it?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what Battlestate did such a good job in doing was attracting the casual player who's interested in hardcore games, where that used to be you had to be quote unquote hardcore casual, which meant putting in a lot of hours, whether you're a content creator or not. And there were games that was really only for that, but they've done a great job attracting that person. And now the question is, you're right, how do they keep it? And it seems to me that if we take a step back and look at the things they've put in the game recently, and again, it's all the game to us because we weren't there when it wasn't there, but I look at things like the Hideout, right? The Hideout is an amazing progression tool because you may not have done a lot of stuff in game this week. And again, I know you played some, but not a ton. You were out of town. But then you had time. You sent me that message of like, I've spent so much money in my Hideout. And yeah, you spent a lot of money, but I heard you say that you are excited for your Bitcoin empire. So I'm guessing that you're getting close to crafting that, or you're prepping to craft it. But so there's a real sense of progression there in that system. So to say that they're not aware of it, I wouldn't agree with, because the Hideout to me is the ultimate, like, keeping it hardcore because it's hard to upgrade it, but it adds another progression thing in that I think is really neat. So they may not ever admit to catering to that audience, but I look at their actions and I think that they're definitely aware of it, because that Hideout is really good for the super hardcore, but I think it's also good for a more casual player because it's something that you can log in for a few minutes and do, and then get into the game. It's not taking a tremendous amount of time away from your playtime.
Yes, but they did pause progression on things that affect the Hideout. And I'll give you a very specific example. Because right now I'm stuck on getting my metabolism to level 3. And what they did, right? So you used to be able to cheese that. Because I've done my reading to try to do that. Yeah. Because the MMO player in me was like, okay, we're gonna win with this. And, you eat your jars of mayo and get you can drink your water back up to 97 and keep going down and back. But you can only do that so much, right? Because they've changed the way that whole system works. So, Geek, I got a question for you. Like, Is there a way still around that? And because they changed that...
Is there a way I can do this? Tell me no.
Yeah.
It sounds oddly specific.
Yes, yes. But I'm just saying seriously. But we're talking about, like, the Hideout being the thing that keeps the casual gamer in there, but they just made it a lot harder to get past a critical point.
So what they did was, I think, on this whole point of everything, I think the game is still quote unquote a beta. So they do have to change some stuff sometimes, they still have to, they should still be able to like try it out, test something out and be like, okay, you know what? The problem is any video game, it's not Tarkov community. It goes for any video game community. If people don't like it, they don't have a nice discussion and be like, hey guys, you know what? This is kind of dumb. I'm not having a good time. This isn't what we like. It's mostly like pitchforks come out, right? And they're like, this is the stupidest thing. Battlestate Games, nice. You took my 120, mother effer. And it's a lot of that. So when they change something drastic as say a secure container, they can't just test it out, because everyone, like, when they said, so you guys might not have been around, but before the 12 wipe, they were saying how they might test it out pre-wipe events. And then what happened was everyone came in and started saying, did you guys hear they're changing secure containers? Did you hear they're changing it? And it was like, well, yeah, but they're doing it for like the pre-wipe event. It's not going to be a first. No, they're going to change it forever. This is just them testing it. And then of course you streamers will say you like it, and then it's going in the game. And it became this like holy crap mentality. Like there's so many posts about it. It got out of hand, and it's like, they're just testing it, guys. Like let's just relax. Like let them test it. And what a lot of the criticism comes out to is they listen to streamers, and they're the hardcore. Why would you listen to a streamer that gets to play this game for 8 hours a day? And there is there has to be a balance with it. But the thing was, Nikita had a podcast with some of the boys like Pessily and stuff, and they said, yeah, metabolism it's stupid that it has to be to this level, or like what was it, stress resistance to get one of your things in hideout. Like it's so hard to get it up there without cheesing it. We have to bring it down. Right away he did it right away on that podcast. So they're trying to do that, but then the other flip side of this coin is they're also teaching people, hey, if you want to, you can cheese it just by, doing this. We're the same people to show you how to cheese something. And eventually they want it so like this game needs longevity, right? When Pessily was able to do a 0 to 40 in under 48 hours, they needed to start some sort of longevity to it. But I know that like when it puts up a brick wall to something you really want, it doesn't matter what happens. You're pissed. You're going to try to figure out a way around it. And you, I think, can still eat and drink in the hideout if you go in there, and that counts too, just to let you know. So if you have to hydrate in between raids, if you go into your hideout and do it there, I'm pretty sure it counts towards that. So just a quick, little tip there. I'm not sure though if it does anymore or not.
Well, yeah, because the idea is you can eat the can of mayo and it takes your hydration down to 0.
and then
you drink the water to 97. Not that I've been reading about this all day long. And so but
on your lunch break.
On my lunch break.
Well, but you're right. There has to be a fine line where they have to, but that's them learning hideout, right? Like this is the first iteration of the hideout also, right? They already said that they wanted to do, they're not doing it, I don't think. They said that before they might do another wipe before Streets of Tarkov wipe, just because they want to change the whole hideout. You know what I mean? Because we're the guinea pigs on this hideout right now. I guarantee you 2 wipes from now, this hideout is going to be totally different. They're going to be like, everyone got to this fast. This thing they stopped here because they have that data. They see where everyone's at, where they stop. Getting so many CPUs or GPUs, sorry, or getting that, like the big one was stress resistance. I cheesed it. I learned how to do it. I had to cheese it. I was like, I'm not gonna, because I have to get shot so many times and bandage and everything, and then it goes like, come on, no. I'll just bandage myself in this fire for a while, So I get when there's a brick wall, you want to just Kool-Aid man through it so that you can get to the other side and start building cooler stuff.
Well, and I'm thinking back to something that Nikita or one of the devs said on their last Tarkov TV podcast, and it was in relation to the new stamina or fatigue system and the mastery skill of strength and endurance. And they said that the vision that they have for those skills is that it should be really rare that somebody can master multiple skills in a wipe. And like it should be really rare that someone has a bunch of skills mastered. And so I'm thinking about that in relation to this metabolism issue, because there's 2 things. One, I think they could get it to a point where it teaches players something. And maybe it needs to be after the level that's required in a hideout scenario, then the curve steepens, right? But I just see it as a really big opportunity for them to say, okay, hey, most players at this level, when they get to this point in the hideout, aren't going to have metabolism 3. let's use this as an opportunity to teach the player how to level metabolism. Now, maybe it should be cheesable to a point, or you do something and it's a minor little amount of experience that you need to get there where most people won't have it yet. So I think that's, again, that balancing act. And,
but
I hear you say beta, but there's an opportunity there to teach people is all I'm saying for a newer player.
I don't think skills to the average player they give two poops about it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And that's why you shouldn't be putting it to a skill. You should be, I feel, just put it to a level. Like, I guarantee you Ron would rather see get to level 25 than I have to do this Mayo thing a whole bunch of times. Like, I don't want to do this. At least getting to level 25, it's enjoyable and it's something you can control. Where stress resistance, I can't control someone shoot me over and over and over and over. Like, I know I will, but what happens if how long will that take? Where at least when it comes to a level, I can control that. I can control trying to get to the next level, and it at least is a bar that I can see after every raid where, stress resistance and everything and strength isn't,
Yeah,
all I know
sure.
is, drink some Mayo and have some water and have a party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm going to do because there's no other way around it. So, but yeah, I agree. And, they'll probably learn more lessons. Like you say, we're the guinea pigs on this. The hideout system, though, I think is going to be critical to retaining players over the long term. They got to have a way.
So, right? That's so interesting. That's so I've never heard that.
I absolutely do.
I've never heard that perspective, really. That's so interesting.
I think that, I think it's because they talked in a previous dev podcast, not this last one, maybe 2 ago, where they talked about the idea where they want to have like a way where you can walk around and talk to traders and have like a common place where all the players will be. That's
yeah. It was really weird where like if you can shoot them, but you'd get in trouble if you shot the other players. So everyone's like neutral at
it's like in WoW, it'd be the concept of like a sanctuary city. And Star Trek Online, they had this concept where you'd walk up to an NPC and talk to them. It's a very MMO-y kind of thing. EVE Online has this concept on the space stations. It's a very MMO-y kind of thing. I think what they've realized is that games that are just straight FPS, people go through seasons where they get bored with it, and they're trying to keep people sticky and playing the game consistently by offering a wide variety of things to do. And that's why I think the hideout is going to be so kind of critical that they get it right, because the more I sit here and think about, this is obviously our first wipe that we've played, but it feels to me like an expansion. Like, they change enough things that the game is different enough where it's like having an expansion. So yeah,
well,
interesting.
It'll be really interesting when I'd love to come talk to you guys after your first wipe and sit down and interview you guys about it, because my first wipe, it wasn't as big as this one with the hideout, but it was like, oh, they changed this side quest. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, they changed this. Oh, did you see that? Oh, look at this. They changed this on the map. And, I get to play it again more than the average person, but I think everyone would notice those little tidbits here and there. Like you used to be able to, I played when you could heal and still walk around. It didn't do an animation. You know what I mean? And
it was like the little bar, right?
It was just a little bar. Yeah, it was a little bar. That was when I quit, though. I quit. I was like, this game's dumb. And then when I came back, I was like, oh, there's a healing animation. That's cool. Like right now, you can, if your leg's blacked out, you can, CMS it up. And while you're doing that, you can also pack your magazine. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's these little things that right now work, but I know they're going to take it out eventually because they just have to figure out how to take it out. Right. They're a small dev team. I know they know their issues. It's just like this battle eye thing that's happening. I know we have to touch base on it because it is really important. This new cheat that people are just taking stuff from bodies in labs. Again, with this game becoming so popular, that means more cheaters are coming. That means there's more profitability on eBay. And we just have to wait. It's going to get banned in 2 days, guys. Let's just realize that Nikita and the boys and everyone there, this is on the top of the priority list, Battle Eye. This is on the top of the priority list. It's not like they're going to let this happen. So, you know, it does suck. And I know it's funny and it's like everyone's worried. But in 2-3 days, it will be gone. You know, we have to trust.
And all of this just has me thinking about the term that's like all throughout gaming, right? And it's the meta. And the meta right now, if we look back on this time, it's not going to be defined by these labs cheaters, right? That's just a drop.
Mm-hmm.
That's just this thing that happened. It sucks. Some people remember it. Some people want to never forget it. But it's not the meta. And really, the last thing I really kind of wanted to talk to you about is this history, and it's this meta, and it's the, you know, I think Battlestate has this awesome vision for the game, you know, and so I guess I would ask you, someone who's been playing for longer than we have, like, what would you like call the meta right now? And was there, you obviously quit during a meta. There was something about it that had you leave, but was there another meta that you really liked that they changed something out of? Was there anything that you really didn't like?
That's super interesting. I think right now I don't like the meta of the Reap IR and the Flea. I think this stuff's, even though I don't think, you know, you've killed people with Reap IRs and Fleas, you guys probably both have. And it's not like if you have this item, you automatically kill everyone. You know what I mean? Like, you can die with it. But I think they're too commonplace. I think it, you know, I found a Fleur today and I was like, oh, cool, a Fleur. Like, that's cool. It's worth 100,000. But to me, it was just worth 100,000. I didn't really care. Where I think it should be more rare. And then I don't feel so weird about using it, because I don't often use those things, because I do call them cheater scopes. But in all honesty, they're just scopes. Like, there's nothing wrong with using them. They're in the game. It's not like I've manipulated the game or anything. The meta, you know, my favorite time in the game, I don't think, like, the meta hasn't changed crazily. It's still like M4, you know, 995. It's just everything's jacked up in price right now. Like, everything's just a little more expensive, or actually a lot more expensive. You know, the flea market's a little different, but my favorite part in the game, to be honest, is just wipe of like the first 3 weeks of a wipe. You guys are gonna have a blast, because right now you guys are joining the game maybe when it was a little deeper into the wipe. And if people are joining the game now, hey, all the power to you. People always ask, hey, should I just wait till the wipe to start playing? No, you should start now, so that you get the feeling of the game. You know, the first dozen tasks or whatnot, because once it wipes, you'll be able to roll through stuff really fast. But the first 2 weeks of PvP with people not having Gen 4 and everything is so much fun. It's just a gong show of fun. Like, it really is. And I know people are like, oh yeah, but there's streamers that are going to like get to level 30 and 40. And with the flea market how it is now, like, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to start sucking toes for 3M armor at wipe and the customs key, because you have to wait till you're level 15 now to get the flea market. That's what the goal was. 5, start buying the flea market stuff. So like the customs key, the 3M armor, but now you have to do 15. That's the one positive about it, is the wipe. It's going to make the level progression from 0 to 40 even longer, even if it is an extra 20, 30 hours or 10 hours, you know, 20 hours. But just a little thing, I'll suck some toes for some custom keys.
You said that was part of your fans only.
Yeah. Fans only. They don't. Yeah. I don't suck their toes. They get to see pictures of my toes, and I step on pumpkins for them.
This took a turn. This took a weird turn.
Yeah. But no, there has been a meta, to be honest. I think the meta is still AS Val. Like, right now it's AS Val. It's not the HK or anything. I think the AS Val's overpowered. But then again, you look at trying to fight a 2-man or a 3-man with the AS Val, a 30-rounder. You have to be pretty precise with the shots to even get the second guy then, because it's only a 30-rounder. But the M4 is still king. One last thing I want to say is I do love that you can't wear Gen 4 armor with attack tech anymore. I think that was one of the greatest changes. So before,
wait, so you could have both? You could stack dual armor things?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, that was just like that just changed in 0.12. Before, you were running like TV 110s with full Gen 4s, or you were doing all that. So I do really like that change a lot. That was a great change.
That's super interesting because that'd be a lot of armor to get through.
Yeah, but you know what? Most of the time you're like, I don't think this armor works. You know what I mean? Like half the time you load into raid and you throw it down and then you put it back on just because you thought it did something with registry. Like, I don't know. Half the time I'm like, am I wearing armor even? Like, I just got really destroyed here. I've redded out everything, but my armor's still looking really fresh right now. I'll tell you that much.
Well, one thing I got to ask before we get through this is, Trigger and I have been noticing like helmets don't really matter. And I'm curious your opinion.
I think they matter very few times for sure. But like today, my boy, I was playing with my buddy. He thought I was an enemy. He shot me with a very nice gun and it ricocheted and it did only like 4 damage. Like every once in a while you'll get a nice ricochet and you're like, yeah, or you'll get a face shield on and you'll be like, it's only level 3, but that sometimes saves you. Like I've been saved by face shield a handful of times. And what I tell people normally is don't think of like that stuff for the PvP. It sometimes is, it will save you, but think of it more for when you do come against scavs, maybe at the end of the raid and you're just like limping out or something. Maybe that stuff will save you when they have that crappy ammo and you have to get out, you know, and you face that last scav that is your doom, say.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. What the context that we've been talking about at the last few weeks have been like the cost versus the benefit.
Yes, I agree. Like if you're gonna wear anything, just use a 6B23 helmet or whatever, the green one. You know, that'll do work. I use like the 50,000 ACHC, I think it's called. It's like black. It's level 4. It'll help. You know, it'll do. But yeah, you're right. Most of the time, if you're getting a headshot, you're getting a headshot. You know, but there are times where I do see that little swirl. You know, have you guys ever had that swirl?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, so you at least know what it means. So it saves you a couple of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like from a budget perspective, the helmet is. You're talking about a 1 to 5% chance of a ricochet. So at the end of the day,
I would say a little more than that, depending on ammo.
1 to 6%.
That's what they say. Is it? Oh, I'm like.
I'm going off.
That's the thing.
I'm going off ammo charts.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing is people go so intense into stuff. If you said 1 to 6, I bet you someone tested it. You know what I mean? Like there's so many great content creators that do that in-depth work that I don't want to do, you don't want to do, but you do want to read a sheet about some ammo or something and be like, okay, what is it? Like it goes intense, that ammo chart. It's like I want to go
really intense.
And I want to know flesh damage. And then it's like also velocity you should know about. And how about what it does? Like it's like, whoa, this is like you can really nerd out on this game, and I love that.
Yeah, so like there's as I'm looking at the ricochet chance, like it goes from 0.1 up to like, you know, so that's 10%, I guess. There's 0.05. So a lot of the good rounds have a really low ricochet chance, but there's some that have high. And so I guess the point, and there's some that has a 0.002%. That's a rip ammo.
Oh, rip ammo, yeah.
Yep. So the point being that it's, at the end of the day, it's a relatively small chance that you're going to ricochet bullets. But the truth is that they do ricochet bullets at some percent. So once your economy's stable enough, the helmet makes sense to put on because you're just increasing your odds of winning fights, and it's just it's a value proposition.
Like I said, all that stuff should be for scavs. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to wear certain armor and you know it's level 3, most people are running most of the time better than level 3. But the scavs probably aren't. So you should be wearing at least something, even though you think it's a waste, because say you kill a scav and they have a blue key card on them or something. You know what I mean? Like scavs have some really good stuff. I think people underrate killing scavs and just doing, you know, like some sneaky scav raids, you know?
Well, I think we could probably bring up any topic and keep going deep. And I think it would be really fun to bring you back on now that we've kind of introduced you to the show, and maybe there'll be some event we can do that. You know, but for what I want to do kind of right now is just I want to again say thank you, man. I mean, I clicked over to the audio, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're at 2 hours, and it sort of flies by, man. This is just kind of like you're talking and we're gaming. So I really appreciate you coming on and just talking Tarkov, man. We love it. We obviously have a blast talking about it, and for you to take time out of your schedule to do that and come and get in Buttery with us, we just
Butter
wanted
Boys.
to,
Butter Boys together.
We wanted to say thanks, man, and really I'll give Ronald a chance to say something too. But
Yeah, say some nice about me, Ronald. Sorry.
Yeah,
stuff
say
about
some
me.
nice
yeah,
things.
Come on.
I
What
can
are you
see
doing
over there?
You look tired. Stop that. Let's say some nice stuff about geeks over here.
Yeah. So I'm just excited because to meet like one of my real life almost heroes. And because of that, this whole experience has been amazing.
You killed him.
And, when you meet a YouTube celebrity, it's kind of like, what do you really do? Like, how can I top this?
Oh, my God.
You're
right, though. How do you top this, right? Like,
yeah.
A Canadian, 40,000 subs. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I know. I mean, you're not pestily, but I mean, you're good enough.
Oh, jeez.
Bet I'm taller than him. Bet I'm taller than him.
Yeah, he might have a better mustache though.
No,
I don't know.
Does.
That would be
does.
interesting.
He's probably, you know what? I don't know how tall he is, but I'm guessing he might be taller than me, and I know for a fact he does have a better mustache.
Yeah, but anyways, man, we really do appreciate like this connection has been great. And seriously, if you're willing to come back and geek out with us, we'd love to have you back.
I would love to come back. I would love to come back, boys.
And
this was awesome.
And our big thing is to promote everybody that we have on the show. Like we're just looking to connect more people with more people.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of our deal.
Friends making friends.
Yeah, exactly. And so everybody who's listening to this or watching this on YouTube, make sure you go check out Geek and all of his stuff. We're gonna have links to everything.
Yeah,
so you can go check him out.
Okay, so I do want to just plug one thing. Like, you know what? Everything else we can plug. You can find me Geekseh anywhere. But the one thing I do want to plug is this Sunday coming up, I am doing a charity stream, and I will be shaving off my mustache if we hit a goal. I haven't had my mustache shaven off in close to 2 years, probably a year and a half, quite a long time, guys. Long enough that my girlfriend has never seen me without a mustache. So, you don't have to be there and donate or anything, but what I would love is if you just came out, come say hello and just come hang out with the community. So that's this Sunday at, I don't know when we're starting it, but I'll say by like 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be on for sure.
Okay. And that's going to be on Twitch, right? You'll be streaming on Twitch?
Yeah, twitch.tv, for sure. Yeah. Twitch.tv/Geekseh.
Fantastic. So everybody, if you're available for a little bit, go check that out for sure.
I heard a rumor that maybe I started in your chat today, that if you double your donation goal, that you will straight razor it.
Yeah, and also I heard I was going to shave off my eyebrows. That was the other one that
I may have been involved in that conversation too.
Straight razor eyebrows.
Yeah, so hold on. So when a Canadian shaves their eyebrows, do you have to get like a weed whacker? Or, how does that work?
Well, first of all, these are an endangered species, so they do look like caterpillars. They're a rare type of Canadian caterpillar. So,
Gotcha.
It's not a weed whacker. It's actually, you have to be very delicate with them. They're more like a bonsai tree, right? Like you just have to be very fine about it. You have to go lusciously.
A bonsai tree with an M4. I got it.
Yeah, that's very fine, but just put M9 in it, baby.
Are you gonna sell the clippings?
So I was saying, I was like, I'll put the hairs in little jars, like necklace jars, if you donate a certain amount of money. But then it got really weird, so I was like, no. But it would have been funny.
Soaked in bathwater. Perfect.
So episode 11 has turned out to be the weirdest EXFIL we've ever had. Not only do we have a 60-minute countdown to get us out of here tonight,
yes,
we've gone to a very dark and disturbing place.
So anyway, if you made it this long, thank you so much for hanging out. But I think that countdown is ringing. It was a long one today, but we did make it to the EXFIL, so that means we are seconds away from disappearing. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can find everything we do on YouTube. You can find the audio-only version on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, basically everywhere except for Google Podcasts right now because it's not working for us. We're working on it, but it's not going. So sorry if you're using Google Podcasts. We're working on it. We'll get it. YouTube page is XP Media Now on YouTube. And that's pretty much everything, guys. Make sure, please go check out Geekseh if you've just now learned of him. He has awesome YouTube content. He streams on Twitch and just doing a great job and helping people get better at the game, which is what we're passionate about. So hope you have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend. Check out that charity stream and good luck and SCAV often. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.